Hello, hello, hello. It's Rebecca Happy here with Ottawa BuzzTV, and it's been a while. I think the last session we had was the period relief for the disaster in the Bahamas. But today we have somebody local here, someone you may have seen on some of the local television stations, who's a specialist in helping people quit bad habits. So he does hypnotherapy, and his name is Dr. Luke, and he's been in Ottawa for a few years, all the way from England. So he's going to tell us all the things you might want to consider as you get ready for the new year to quit. So welcome, Dr. Luke, and thanks so much for joining us today.
Hey, Rebecca, great to be here.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what brought you to Ottawa? And
okay, long story, but a Canadian girl did LUKEnosis on me back in my home country of England. When beautiful girls are great hypnotists, they don't have to do anything other than flash their eyelashes. And I fell in love with her, and I gave up 80% of my belongings. Had to move. I had 5 days to move out of my house, and I'm ordered the whole stuff. Left my country. I'd never heard of this place called Ottawa. Everyone outside of Canada thinks the capital of Canada is Toronto. We're aware of Toronto, we're aware of Montreal, we're aware of Vancouver. No one outside of Canada has heard of this place called Ottawa. So she told me, well, I live in this place called Ottawa. I'm like, what? She goes, yes, the capital of Canada. I'm like, that's Toronto, right? She's like, no, it's Ottawa. So I'd never come here, never heard of it. So I came over sight unseen 6 years ago, and here I am still.
So when you initially came, you were a personal trainer?
Yeah, I've been doing basically almost in tandem personal training and hypnosis ever since I was 17. I spent majority of my time doing personal training, but I had hypnosis clients that I had as well, and I just stopped doing personal training completely, to be honest, because I realized that anyone that wanted to lose weight, it was a physical thing. It wasn't because they didn't know what to do. They know they got to move more at a very crude level and eat less. But it was all the emotions that would get in the way. Every person, myself included, that ever had a eating problem, and I've seen thousands over the last 17, 18 years now, there was always emotional eating. Like when people, when you break up from a boyfriend or a girlfriend when you're young, you have ice cream, you have candy to feel better. And then on your birthday or Christmas, you eat lots of food, and it's a family thing, and you feel better, and it's a really great feeling. So we've got so many emotions just linked to those two things right there. So food can become quite messy when our emotions get involved. So I realized that I could have all the certifications coming out of my butt on how to train people, and I did. And none of it would work most of the time because it would never deal with the emotions behind it and stuff like that. There's my cat, Tigra, trying to photo or camera bomb right now. You see her jump on me.
So how did you come in to start doing hypnosis in the first place at 17 years? Like 17-year-old is pretty, that's a pretty obscure area of study to do, or training.
I'm a pretty obscure guy. Long story short, or you can have the long version if you want. When I was a kid, I was very messed up. I was obese, I was agoraphobic, I was bullied at home, I was bullied at school. My life was a complete and utter mess. I tried to kill myself twice in my teens. It didn't work. Then I learned that, okay, if killing me, if that's not the way to go, then there must be a reason for me to be here. And I'd undertaken many forms of therapy, family therapy, child therapy, because supposedly I was a bad kid who was hyperactive. And none of it really affected me. None of it changed me. I was very depressed, very anxious, and quite frankly, miserable. And one day I was going through a newspaper called The World, which was very popular. It's no longer around, a Sunday newspaper. And I saw a little ad, a 10 by 10 ad, which was for a audio cassette. This is how long ago it was, an audio cassette, and it was entitled Supreme Self-Confidence. by a chap called Paul McKenna. And Paul McKenna, very famous. He had a TV show in England, prime time for 5 years as I was growing up. But it was like the kind of performance hypnosis. But because it was on TV, I believed it was real. So I'm like, whoa, if it can make people sing like Michael Jackson or dance like Madonna, then if I listen to this tape every day, 21 days in a row, and I do everything he asked me to do, you know, I'm going to have supreme self-confidence, as ridiculous as it sounds. But because I went into it with that total belief, and I had nothing to lose because I tried everything else, and my life was a complete mess in every way. This silly little audio cassette that cost me about £10, $20, changed my life. I'm like, this silly generic little tape can change my life. Imagine I learned this stuff for real. I can help people around the world overcome the stuff that I've overcome, and hopefully so they don't have to go through the stuff that I went through with my guidance and mentorship.
Wow, that's pretty amazing story. And so now that you're a professional hypnotherapist and personal trainer, and that you've seen that people really can't, whether it's, you know, weight related or any other bad habit that people have created or a phobia that nobody can really overcome until they address the emotional stuff. So I know that a lot of people see hypnosis. We've seen the ones on TV by the big kind of celebrity hypnotists. What's the difference between what you're doing and what we see? And how do you know as a hypnotherapist what it is that the person really needs to address? Like if they have a phobia or the bad habits of being overweight or a heavy smoker? 2 questions.
Yeah. For instance, I do predominantly most of my time is spent helping people one-on-one. I do the stage stuff, which is fun. Stage stuff is, you know, basically there used to be a dividing line where hypnotists that did therapy with people did not like stage hypnotists, and stage hypnotists did not like hypnotists who did therapy with people. There was a bit of a rivalry, to be honest. And for me, I'm like, both have great skills. Because most people will come to see me, and the only experience they've ever had of hypnosis is going to a stage show or watching it on TV. That's what they know. So, and it's quite different to how basically most hypnotists will do therapy with people. They're very different things. But what I learned is you got to give people a bit of magic. And what I mean by magic is that stuff that they do see on the stage is good to incorporate a little bit of that fun stuff, which is kind of mind-blowing sometimes, actually into therapy, because it's what people expect. So I like a little show in and put all the therapeutic stuff around it. So they're like, wow, that was kind of like the stuff that I saw on stage, but he dealt with me and he didn't make fun of me. Well, I do make fun sometimes, but that's provocative hypnosis. But no, he treated me with respect and he worked with me, and there was a bit of magic in that as well. And I always say hypnosis is not magic, but it's magical.
Wow. So it sounds magical. It also sounds, for me, I mean, it sounds a little bit intimidating to come in. So like when somebody comes to see you, maybe they saw you on stage or maybe not, but finally said, oh, I'm looking for this hypnotherapist, and I found Dr. Luke, and they come in, you know, how does sort of a typical session run?
It's funny, whenever I see anyone for the first time, be it for stop smoking, gastric ban, weight loss, PTSD, somebody who wets the bed, some kind of trauma, well, the very first moment I see them, they have a look of abject terror. Always confused, because hypnosis can be one of the most gentle ways to deal with a lot of your issues. So it always kind of surprised me. Now it kind of amuses me a little bit. So basically what would happen there's 2 different things. Smoking, 99% of the time, only takes 1 session and it's done. It's different from every other problem because smoking is most of the time, 99% of the time, it doesn't come from a trauma. It simply comes from somebody, they were at school, they were at college, they saw other cool kids smoking, and they're like, let me do a bit of that as well. 99% of the time, that's how it starts with people. I know this from doing it 18 years with people, thousands of people. So that only takes one session. Pretty much everything else, from gastric bands to phobias to traumas, PTSD, social anxiety, general anxiety, takes probably up to about 4 sessions. And how it begins is when people come in, the first half of the first session, I just explain what I do. I explain what hypnosis is and what it isn't, so they know exactly what to expect. And then basically, then we'd go into the hypnosis. There's a couple of different forms of hypnosis. There's suggestion only, and suggestion only is pretty much when I bore you, and I just give you nice positive suggestions. And it works about 30% of the time. That doesn't sound very successful, but when you look at the stats from New Scientists, I believe in 1982, I've got it on my website, the stats are like talk therapy, psychotherapy, counseling has about a 10 to 20% success rate based on 600 sessions.
Yeah.
Versus one suggestion only hypnosis session. So 30%, it's still 2-3 times as powerful as any other form of talk therapy. But I do a thing called advanced hypnosis. So we use many different modalities. I call it hypnosis because the layperson doesn't understand a lot of the other side, like EFT or NP. A lot of people, it's not mainstream. They don't know what these things are, and I don't want to confuse people. But sometimes I'm hypnotizing people with their eyes open through most of the session, and sometimes their eyes are closed. But yeah, I use a bunch of things. Sometimes regression, which is really, really powerful. Parts therapy, which is like a mediation through the different parts inside someone. For example, the smoker has the part that really wants to quit smoking, but there's another part of them that wants to continue smoking. So we have a negotiation under hypnosis to bring those parts together. So basically there's a truce. Forgiveness therapy, which is probably the most powerful thing that I do with people. Even people that think they've forgiven their mum, their dad, everyone in their life and themselves, they haven't, and that's really, really powerful. Some future projection. Basically, I put everything into the blender, and everyone's a bit different. I have a template on how to work with people. Sometimes that template goes out of the window because it's not what a person needs someone else. Doing this for 20 years now, I just have an instinct that, all right, this isn't the right tool for that person, so let's find the right tool for them. And I've got 327 tools, so I'll find something that'll work with them.
So you're called Dr. Luke. What kind of a doctorate do you have?
I have a doctorate in psychology. A lot of people say, oh, okay, so you're a psychologist. Not a psychologist, but I did get my PhD in psychology. The second question people ask is, oh, so why don't you do psychotherapy sessions with people? And I always said, because I don't want to see somebody 3 times a week for 4 years bitching and complaining about the same problem. I want to see them up to 4 times and never see them again unless they've got a new issue that comes up.
You work with children?
Yes.
And so when people come to see you individually, it's always individual. Do you ever do like little group sessions with families, or it's all one-on-one?
It's always one-on-one, but I do group sessions, weight loss for stop smoking.
And you're doing those like every month or something?
Yeah, so I never used to do group hypnosis sessions, to be honest. I would just do one-on-one, because obviously one-on-one is just a lot more powerful. It's like the difference between having a trainer, a personal trainer one-on-one, versus going to a class where 30 people are sharing that trainer, that instructor's attention. It's still effective, but it's diluted by by many means. But yeah, so I started the group hypnosis because for whatever reason, people didn't believe that they could afford to work with me one-on-one. They maybe been out of work and stuff like that. And I wanted to find a way to help those people, but in a way that, didn't compromise my integrity and was good for my business as well. So I developed once a month. It's usually the 3rd Thursday of the month. I do a group hypnosis for stopping smoking, and a group hypnosis for weight loss, for weight management, about an hour and 15 minutes a piece.
So if people wanted to book an appointment with you or find out more about some of the things that you offer, what's the best place for them to do?
Best thing to do is to go over to my website, which should probably be below me right here, www.LUKEnosis.com. Luke, like me, L-U-K-E, Nosis, N-O-S-I-S.com, and you'll see a lot of my work there. You'll also notice that you can sign up for a free stop smoking special report that we've got there, a free weight loss special report that we've got there as well, and that's to the right hand side of the page, and we can send you some information. My email address is there as well, which is drluke@lukenosis.com. If you've got a problem that you think is unfixable and you've lost all hope, come find me. I can fix you.
He's a fixer. And so if you're giving up anything for the new year, maybe you should see Luke now or book him now, so you'll never have to give it up again. This is Rebecca Happy with Ottawa BuzzTV. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Luke.
Thank you, Rebecca.
See you next time.